Welcome to the Housing Expert Hub, your ultimate construction channel that cuts through the noise and gives you the real data and strategies you need to actually make a smart decision. We look at building a 3-bedroom semi-permanent house and outdoor kitchen on a budget. Take a look at this. This is what home looks like now. A 3-bedroom house, solid, sheltering our family. And over here, this is our outdoor kitchen, the real heart of our home, where we cook, laugh, and share stories. We built this whole place, a complete family home plus a functional outdoor kitchen, for just 950,000 Kenyan shillings. Just a few months ago, this was all just an empty piece of land, nothing but red earth and a dream that felt completely out of reach. In a world where the cost of building seems reserved for the super wealthy, we decided to try something different. We took a path that led us back to the materials our grandparents used: local timber, the very ground under our feet, and simple iron sheets. This is the full story of how we did it. It's a story of hard work, plenty of challenges, a ton of learning, and in the end, building our dream without breaking the bank. This isn't just about a house, it's about reclaiming the idea that anyone can build a home for their family. The dream, the plan, and the unbelievable budget. Like a lot of dreams, ours started because it had to. We were a growing family, and owning our own home felt like a fantasy. We looked at the cost of a standard permanent house, and the numbers were just staggering. A basic 3-bedroom permanent home in Kenya can easily run you between 2.5 to 4.5 million shillings, and that's without any fancy finishes. That kind of money was completely out of our league. We felt stuck. But then we started talking, researching, and just looking around our own community. We saw so much wisdom in the old ways. What if we didn't build with expensive blocks and tons of cement? What if we built a semi-permanent house? The name itself sounds temporary, but we saw it differently. We saw it as a smart start, a transitional home that could be our solid, comfortable base for years. These kinds of houses are way more cost-effective and so much faster to build than conventional homes. They're designed with flexibility in mind, which was exactly what we needed. And that's where our big idea was born. We would build a 3-bedroom house, not some tiny starter home, but a real family space. Plus an outdoor kitchen, which is so central to our way of life. We'd do it using locally sourced timber for the frame, mud and wattle for the walls, and iron sheets, or mabati, for the roof. In many parts of Kenya, traditional materials like mud are still used all the time because they're affordable and right there. We wanted to blend that tradition with a modern, functional design. Then came the most important number: the budget. After looking at similar projects and running our own rough numbers, we set an ambitious, honestly terrifying, goal of 950,000 Kenyan shillings for the whole project. That had to cover everything, from the foundation to the very last nail. A detailed breakdown from a similar project gave us hope that it was possible, showing us how to allocate funds for timber, iron sheets, labor, doors, and windows, plus a critical contingency fund for those oops moments. The decision was made. We weren't just dreaming anymore, we had a plan. A plan to build a home with our own hands, on our own terms, and on a budget most people would call impossible. We knew it would be a challenge, a real test of our resolve. But looking at our empty piece of land, we didn't see problems, we saw potential. We saw the ground where our kids would play, the spot where our kitchen would stand, and the outline of a future we were going to build ourselves. First step: breaking ground. 2. The foundation, our groundwork for the future. Every house starts with the foundation. It's the most critical part of the entire build. If you make a mistake here, if you take a shortcut, the whole structure is at risk. We knew we had to get this right, even on our tight budget. First up, site prep. Our plot was beautiful, but it was raw. We spent a week clearing brush, pulling up stubborn roots, and getting the ground as level as we could. This stage can cost a lot, sometimes between 50,000 and 150,000 shillings, but for us, it was mostly sweat. We marked out the house's footprint with strings and pegs, walking through the rooms and imagining the life we'd live inside these lines. It was an amazing feeling, turning a drawing into a real space on the earth. For a semi-permanent house like ours, you don't need the deep, complicated foundations of a stone building. We went with a classic, effective method: shallow trenches. We dug them about 2 feet deep and 1.5 feet wide around the whole perimeter and for the internal support walls. This was back-breaking work. The sun was fierce and the ground was hard, but every swing of the pickaxe felt like progress. One modern trick we decided to use was to give our timber posts a solid footing to protect them from ground moisture and termites, a huge worry for any timber home. Instead of putting the main posts directly in the soil, we created concrete footings. Inside the trench, at every spot where a main post would stand, we dug a deeper hole. Into these trenches, we laid a course of hardcore, large, broken stones we collected from our own land. This gives you a solid base and helps with drainage. We packed it down tight, walking over it again and again until it was firm. Then came the concrete. We couldn't afford a big, solid concrete slab foundation, which can be one of the most expensive parts of a build. So, we focused the concrete where it mattered most. We mixed it by hand on a big plastic sheet: sand, ballast, cement, and water. Getting the ratio right is crucial. Too much water makes it weak, too little and it's impossible to work with. We learned the right consistency through trial and error. It should be like a thick porridge. We poured this concrete into the deeper holes to create pads for our posts. Before it set, we pushed a short, thick metal rod, or rebar, into the center of each pad, leaving about 6 inches sticking out. The idea was to drill a hole in the bottom of our timber posts and slot them right onto these rods. This anchors the house to the foundation and, most importantly, keeps the wood from touching the ground, which is wood's #1 enemy. For the rest of the trench, between the concrete pads, we used large, heavy stones layered with a mortar mix. This traditional technique enhances stability and is very cheap. It brought the foundation right up to ground level. This phase took us almost 2 weeks and was our first big expense. Cement, sand, and ballast all cost money. We kept a running total, writing every shilling spent in a small notebook. The foundation was done. It wasn't a giant concrete slab, but it was strong, smart, and perfect for the house it would support. Looking at the neat lines of stone and the metal rods glinting in the sun, we felt a huge sense of accomplishment. We had literally laid the groundwork for our dream. Next up was the skeleton of the house. Raising the skeleton, the timber frame with the foundation set, the most exciting part of the build began: raising the timber frame. This is when the house really starts to look like a house, rising up from the ground. This was the skeleton that would hold up our entire home, and we chose our wood carefully. Timber is the heart and soul of this house. There's a good reason people living near forests have always used it for building. It's a realistic, available option. We got our timber from a local, reputable sawmill. This is a key step. Using local suppliers supports the community and cuts down on transport costs, which was a huge deal for our budget. We needed about 200 strong, straight posts, each about 11 feet long, for the main structure. But you can't just use raw timber and hope for the best. Rule #1 when building with wood is you have to treat it properly. We spent several days treating every single piece of timber ourselves with a wood preservative, a chemical that protects against termites, borers, and rot. We brushed it on thick, making sure to get into every cut and crack. It was a tedious job,